Remember the bongos. That's right. There was a time when the Titans were amazing, and even an all-time plotter named Lendell White could complete an 80-yard touchdown against the Chiefs. Sadly, Kansas City's been in the playoffs a couple times since the last time the Titans were there, but we don't care because real football begins, well, like in an hour, but for the Titans fans on Sunday. And additional good news, there are 9 other games at 1 p.m. But real football begins. We will talk about, the game, and maybe at some point we'll talk about how Sharona's the worst fantasy player in the world, and, other details.
I don't care. I just don't care, Zach. Don't you know?
Should we hit on that now, just to start? The fact that Sharona's been in the dark spot. Like, Nashville's like some third world country now, apparently. There's no power. It's been raining nonstop for 40 days and 40 nights.
I'm so happy to have power and internet. The worst part isn't even the power thing. It's how crappy
And now we've
my Verizon wireless coverage is. I literally, to do my radio show this morning, I literally was like driving around this subdivision and the one over there going, can I get a signal? It was ridiculous.
Are you hearing that sound? Oh.
Vaguely, barely.
Let me hold here for a second. Oh, gosh. Sorry. There we go. I actually had the hangout on, so I was like getting an echo.
Oh. I could vaguely sort of kind of hear something.
Still there?
Yes. Uh-oh.
Yeah, well when I had the hangout open, and then it started playing in the background. I'm still here. Oh no, I'm on a delay.
Okay.
No. We're back.
We are back.
And
we are back.
Me.
Sharona is extremely happy to be. I shaved my legs for this. What have you got? Oh, that's your glass. I thought it was something wifey might have got you. I like the glass. It's a cool glass.
This is a lovely Wild Heaven glass. Wild Heaven, Invocation, Golden Ale.
See my glass? My glass is way cooler.
Because your glass, it's cooler because it has more beer in it. Okay, let me refresh here. And
get beer.
So I have no idea what's going on. Okay, so the Titans are playing the Chiefs this weekend.
Yes.
What do we think? Do we think that the Titans have a chance to emerge victorious in the Dexter McCluster and Ryan Suckup revenge game?
The only thing I really recall, I've been so out of pocket that I have not had a chance. I've got to take a look at Ryan Suckup. But the only thing that I do remember about him, wasn't he like Mr. Irrelevant that the Colts picked?
No, the Chiefs drafted him, and he was the last pick in the draft.
Okay.
So
I knew he was Mr. Irrelevant, but I couldn't remember.
He's probably the best Mr. Irrelevant, because usually those guys don't even make a roster.
Yeah.
Like the Colts somehow one year had the top pick and the last pick, and I forget if they took a quarterback, but yeah, that guy's not in the league anymore. But yeah, it's an odd. I mean, I think you said it, and I know a lot of people said it. It was like, yeah, 6 months, those kickers were battling it out, and then one day after Travis Coons wins the battle, out. Get out.
Yep, called that one all along. Once I got a chance to eyeball those guys in camp, I was like, they're but don't you think, Zach, they never, ever expressed any interest in returning Rob Baronis back. Didn't you find that odd?
I guess the NFL has collectively decided that he's finished because Didn't the Titans bring in like every other kicker with a pulse to
Yeah,
try
right.
out? And I don't even think Ryan Suckup actually was there because I think he still was with the Chiefs. I mean, I talked to Ryan Forbes last night about the Chiefs, and he said even he barely knows who the guy is who won the job for the Chiefs. And that's the case. I feel like a quarter of the NFL teams have a kicker that nobody has heard of.
No, yeah.
Ago.
I completely agree with that.
So giving your kicker a big extension like the Cowboys did with Dan Bailey, maybe not the wave of the future.
Maybe not the wave of the future.
Exactly, but if we go into matchups, you think about the Chiefs had a pretty good offensive line last year, and this year they have the #1 overall draft pick from last year, who apparently isn't very good, and then
I was just getting ready to say who really sort of kind of sucks.
4 cardboard cutouts that are very lifelike, but when the actual ball is snapped, including I think a 6th-round rookie who went to this small farm college called University of Tennessee. I think you've heard of it.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha, she can't punch me through the screen. But trust me, Google's working on it. They'll be on it anytime. So yeah, the Chiefs kind of stink at offensive line, but can you really name any offensive lineman for like Adrian Peterson? So we'll see. Because it's not like the Titans are, world beaters on defense, so that might be actually a draw.
Did you see Ray Horton said trust me that you'll see a different defense on the field this come Sunday?
Well, yeah, if we see the same defense we saw in the preseason, we made a really horrible error in hiring this guy. And how did he have really good defenses in Cleveland and Arizona in his history? So I don't know. I wonder, because I know with like the offense, they were saying they weren't really game planning. It didn't sound like they were with the defense. Like, well, how much defense versus offense do you just not really show what you're really going to do? And I'm intrigued by one facet of the defense. They talked about how Bleedy won the quarterback starting job, and then Cody Sensabaugh is going to be the nickel. And it's like, well, in the NFL, you're in nickel at least 60% of the time, if not more. And like, oh, and then we have the Chiefs, who might be running the triple option because their only receiver with a pulse is suspended. They're starting Donnie Avery, who I'm already predicting is going to have one big catch against Titans. Of
course, because he always does.
He can't catch against anybody else. Although somebody sent me a GIF, he did score a big touchdown in that playoff game.
He did.
But he's like, he's the fast guy who can't really catch. And then there was a guy named Frankie Hammond, and I was like, wait, I actually pay attention to the NFL, and I usually know everybody. And I'm like, I've never heard of this guy, and he's like a starter for an NFL team. And Junior Hemingway, you only know him because his name sounds cool. Otherwise, you never would have remembered his name. And a bunch of scrubs. But I think as I wrote down is like Travis Kelce, who had microfracture surgery last year, might be their most dangerous receiver outside of Jamal Charles. So, look for Jamal Charles to get about 38,000 touches on Sunday.
It wouldn't shock me to see DeAnthony Thomas catch some passes.
Well, he got hurt in practice today, so who knows?
Oh, did he?
He and Marcus Cooper were hurt, and I don't know. I don't see. It just happened to pop up. Because that was a guy that was like, hey, DeAnthony Thomas, the 5th-round draft pick, who's probably better than Dexter McCluster. Sorry. I know, SEC.
Zach is hating already. We're only 15 minutes into the freaking show. And hate. Listen. You are tripping.
Okay. Well, that's possible. I'm on wings and beer right now. You never know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Speaking of beer.
Yeah, so
I only drink beer, by the way, with Zach. Zach is my beer drinking buddy. We drink beers together.
Now, is this the Blackstone Nut Brown ale that you bought?
It is. It is a local beer.
You buy a 6-pack, and every 6 weeks you need to buy another 6-pack. I like that.
I actually had
you feel like wine every other week.
Well,
so.
Yeah, I mix it. I have to mix in some wine. I actually have 2 left over from the other one too, so I still probably have like 4 or 5 left.
Which is like a half an hour over here, but okay. You do it your way.
Well, I did have. I did have that, whatever, the Ruby Tuesday. I forget what they called it, but it said in the description, "Are you stressed? This is a great stress reliever." And I was like, "Waitress." By the way, I have to give a big shout out to, I should have gotten her name because she was fantastic. The lady, the chick, the female who hung out with me while I was hanging out in the Ruby Tuesday, and saw that I had everything that I needed, including sending me home with a little to-go cup of water because she was concerned about me having nice cold water. So
That's pretty good. I like that product placement. We should have an official,
we
sponsor.
should get them to sponsor us. Yes,
There you go. So yeah, you sent me a picture. You texted me a picture
I
like
did.
2 p.m. of some giant frozen beverage you
It
had,
was nice.
and I was like, I'm at work and I'm gonna be working for the 4 hours. This is not fair. But so it's the life when you're the glamorous radio star that you are.
That's right.
The unglamorous.
We're out here living the glam life.
It's true. It's true. So what about the Titans on offense? Now, I'm in a desperate position, and maybe we'll talk fantasy now and later, but I may actually have to start Jake Locker this week. But the running back situation is what intrigues me. It seems like it's going to be a big mix of guys, which for fantasy sucks, but for real life, show them some different looks.
Mm-hmm.
Show them the evolutionary Lendell White and Sean Green, or the I don't even know what Bishop Sankey is. Hopefully good. And Dexter McCluster, the homeless man's Danny Woodhead, and hopefully that mix. Chiefs will be like, "Woo."
Dexter, baby, I've got your back.
I believe he will get probably 5 to 8 touches this week, and punt returns. So
I was just
he's going to be a factor.
I was just getting ready to ask you. Somebody asked me how many touches Bishop Sankey would get this year.
That's really hard to say. I do think that he's going to be the starting guy and then get the most touches. I think as long as Sean Green's healthy, it's going to be a mix. It's really hard to predict. I don't know. I can't remember what show I was on, and I was like, well, he could get 280 touches this year. And they're like, no, it's more like 240. So we'll see. I mean, it could be a situation where
there's no way he touches the ball 240 times.
It ramps up as the season goes. Because this time last year, Zach Stacy was 4th string running back for the Rams. So, guys, value can go up and down. I don't know. I mean, it's odd because he's like the backup.
Listen, that was not. Jeff Fisher never met a running back he didn't want to, hand the ball off to. Come on. Fisher's going to run the ball. I mean, I think that the Titans are going to be far more balanced.
Yeah, balance in the NFL is like 60 pass, 40 run at this point. If a team's like 50-50, they're in the 50s, Not too many teams do that. Although, hey, a fast-paced team like the Eagles still run the ball a ton. Yeah, you don't know. I mean, it really is with a new coach. You've seen the preseason, but you haven't seen.
I said 175.
175. Wow. There's people drafting him in the 5th round just jumping out windows right now going, oh my gosh.
And I'll be shocked if, I think that it's going to all depend, right? And it's so hard to predict because you don't know how he's going to do now that real football starts. But,
Well, I think it's just the advent of daily fantasy has made you think about football in general as a weekly thing. So you just think about, well, what's he going to do this week? When it comes to team defense, I drafted the Steelers because they're playing the Browns in week 1. And I didn't really worry about going in the future because, as I mentioned, an article I wrote today, it's like, what we know right now? We really know nothing. We don't know. We're going to find out a lot. And with a team with a new coach, it's going to be really different because, the Chiefs were horrible 2 years ago, and then last year they just came out of the gates really strong, and they had the great defense, and their special teams were great, and they were scoring points left and right, and they didn't really need much of an offense. Give the ball to Jamal Charles, and then they had some injuries, and then all of a sudden they had to play, offense. But I feel like it's going to be an evenly matched game. It might be a bit of a slog, but we're going to find out. Yeah, intrigued, impressed. I know.
What? Who was it that said 22-0?
I think that was that ESPN thing that I shared last week. Some kind of.
That's what I was thinking. I agree with you, Zach. I think that it's going to be. That's what I was when I was like, that's what I was thinking of when you were saying all that. Trying to remember who said it would be 22-0.
Is what you were hearing.
No, of course not. I listened to you.
So you're the one. That's so nice of you. So special. But there are intriguing things about this game, not just for Titans fans. I mean, how Justin Hunter is going to be used, because in the preseason, when they start, it's Nate Washington, Kendall Wright, but then 2 plays later, they're rotating. I can't say they're rotating receivers like defensive linemen, but they're throwing Hunter in there a lot, in 2 wide receiver situations and 3 wide receiver situations. And the Chiefs got rid of their top cornerback, and I don't think their safeties are that great. They did that guy from Tennessee, so they must be pretty good.
I was getting ready to say, don't be hating on Eric Berry.
Oh, he's good. Their linebackers. I'm in an IDP league, and Justin Houston is probably a guy I'm going to start. So, him and Holly. Let's see what the Titans tackles are really made of against those 2 guys, because it's a pretty good duo. It's a good test because of the way guys rotate in and out during the preseason. You're not really sure. People are saying, on paper the Titans' offensive line looks great, but we're gonna find out. Is Chance Warmack getting better, and Levitre's over his injuries, and is Ruse not the old man? Is Michael Oher actually not terrible anymore because he's not wearing purple, which makes you 20% more sucky? That's not scientific, by the way.
Uh-oh. Zach with the hate.
On another franchise, not the Titans, see? Yeah, I totally forgot until right before the show, because, I put remember the bongos are hopefully.
That is going to be my favorite hashtag for, I'm going to wear you guys out with it for 4 more days.
Because I'm telling you, a guy does bongo in the end zone. I'm pretty sure, and Chris Johnson did that. I don't think did he get flagged? I'm not even sure. Now
that was before the NFL lost its mind.
Now it's like when you're in a dance competition. If you miss a step, if you don't do the 3 steps, do the little salsa move and hand the ball to the ref, then you get a 15-yard penalty. That's kind of what it is now with the end zone. You can't even dunk the ball over a goalpost. I hope somebody does the little, was it Tony Gonzalez who did the whole, shoot it over the goalpost because he didn't want to dunk? Because he was, I'd say, old, 5 years younger.
He had no leverage, is that what you're saying?
Leverage? I think all the refs could dunk it over the goalpost at this point. But that was a fun game because it's always fun to, have a much better team. I think Chris Johnson had a 60-yard touchdown. Lendell White had an 80-yard touchdown. And that was the slowest.
Was that the 2-14 year?
Well, was it 2008? I think, because that was Chris Johnson was a rookie. Because they just ran him over. I think it was 2 years ago they went 2-14. I hope that was beer and not the ceiling that dripped on me. Anyway, you live in a house, you just never know.
You never know.
So we're going to say clearly the best fantasy option in this game is Donnie Avery.
Clearly.
And after that, I feel so sad because the best tight end they had last year was that guy with the giant face beard, and he retired. Apparently face beards do not help with concussions, nor does Wes Welker's Lord Helmet inflatable thing he was wearing.
Well, maybe that Molly he's popping will help.
That's just, the NFL is just in a fun fun time for random suspensions, you know. I mean, is the Irsay thing? I'm sure you talked about it on your very big show, right? About his
We
suspension
did, of
and how NFL
course.
players were like totally like, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. Do you suspend an owner? Like, does that really mean anything? Because they don't do anything. They just provide the money, or they just basically wait for the
I
like
think it
Scrooge
does for
McDuck,
him.
like doing back, flips through the money.
Some owners maybe not, but I think it did for him. I think he's very big into being, you know, that guy who owns the Colts, and the social media ban's probably the worst thing for him.
Yeah, I believe my wife was like, "What did you do if you got banned from Twitter?" And I was like, "I don't think I would be alive. What would I do if I couldn't tell everybody what I was thinking every 5 seconds, mostly about football? So it's
Right,
important,
of course.
or not, or not. So what was the deal? I mean, I don't have all the details in front of me, but the Titans made a lot of veteran pickups after the cut down time. And do you think that says something about? Well, obviously we have kind of a new regime. I mean, it's the old GM, but the
Mhm.
new coach, in that they're not so big fans of the back end of their roster when they're picking up guys. A lot of them doesn't look like they're even gonna play in week one. Like Quentin Groves, I'm like, don't we have like 75 outside linebackers, and they just picked up another one? So he must be, I don't know. So there must be something going on.
Well, it's interesting, and I have not had a chance to write about the game and some of these recent additions. Sean Phillips didn't get a ton of reps in the preseason, and of all the guys on defense, I thought that he showed up just a tad bit out of shape, just a teeny tiny bit. And so I wonder.
Well, wasn't he like? He was kind of like the defensive version of McCluster in that the team seemed to sign him pretty quickly, and that they had like a role carved out for him, but he hasn't
Sean
really
Phillips?
started. Yeah, I mean,
No,
it's
they
been
signed him.
Wembley and it's been Morgan kind of starting on the outside. I'm like, well, where's?
Sean Phillips was one of their last free agents that they brought in and signed before the draft.
Don't mess with Sharona, everybody. She knows
I'm
stuff.
just saying. And I know that because I kept saying, the Titans really should look at Sean Phillips. The Titans really should look at Sean Phillips. And finally they did and brought him in.
Well, it does seem some of their roster moves are like in a fantasy league where you just grab as many guys as possible, and then hopefully one or two of them actually are good. So it's hard to say because you do switch the defense to a 3-4, and you have mostly personnel who are drafted as 4-3 guys. So hopefully, like we said, hopefully Zach Brown figures it out. Hopefully Wesley Woodyard learns how to tackle, because it didn't seem like he was very good at that, and it seemed like he was in a position to make a lot of tackles. Maybe that's the defense Ray Horton brought out in the preseason, the no tackle defense, because that's what it looked like at times. I don't know. It was kind of like that Nate Washington touchdown against the Falcons, where it looked like nobody was covering him at all, and it's like, oh, it's the preseason. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I'm right as always.
No,
Yeah.
I was going to say, the linebacking situation is
Scary.
going to be, you're going to have to keep an eye on that. Zach Brown,
Inducing.
who knows what's going on with him. I think Wesley Woodyard's going to be just fine. I think that Cam Wembley and Derek Morgan really settled in to their new roles, and obviously guys who have that's those spots really not necessarily in that kind of position, but so they've got that communication going anyway. But and I will say this. I find it very telling that the two guys who started at middle linebacker for the Tennessee Titans in 2013 are no longer on this roster.
Yeah, it's like those guys are the position that no longer exists. I mean, it's a different era in the NFL. I think the Titans have had issues at middle linebacker, but they've had that two-down middle linebacker, tackle in the run play, and that's not really part of this defense. I'm still not sure what, Zach Brown, he was like a weak side linebacker in a 4-3, and now he's playing inside. I don't know. It's like, well, let's see. One of these guys has to fit. Although it's nice to see, Wembley was a 3-4 outside linebacker. It was odd that they, signed him to be a defensive end because he didn't really fit. And I think he fits better, and it seems like he can actually pass defend. And I don't know, maybe, Morgan is actually looking all right in that position. So he might not be as in need of help as wanted. So do you take any stock at all in the whole situation with the captains for the team? The one thing.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was somebody was making a big deal about Bernard Pollard and Jason McCourty not being part of the captains.
Well, I know McCourty.
I don't know who ended up being.
Oh, now I have to remember stuff?
Hello?
That's not right. I'm still here.
Yes, now you have to tell me who were they.
I know it's Locker. I know Washington. I'm trying to think. I think Jarrell Casey got one. I'm trying to think who the special teams guy is. Probably Kern. And I know that George Wilson did. The only thing I saw out of it was I can't remember Wyatt maybe brought it up, was that McCourty had been a captain the last 2 years, and then this year he wasn't. And it's like, I don't know. I think if you cover the team 24/7, these little things pop up, and you pretend it's a big deal, and you're like, eh. The
Maybe
NFL,
they just maybe they just wanted to give other guys shots. I don't see this being. It's not a big deal to me. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't really pay a lot of attention to the locker room leader, and I think a guy like McCourty is probably like, put the C on there, don't put the C on there. I'm going out there and I'm playing, and I'm doing what I'm doing.
I don't see Jason McCourty. Okay. Well, I don't think this is a big deal.
You need more beer. I can see. Focus.
I do need more.
Focus.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Uh-huh. So how are you dealing with the insanity of week one? Just the fact, and maybe this is a real football and a fantasy football thing, in that we've been playing and planning for this for like 7 months, and now it's really happening. Are we ready?
Really?
Well, we don't know we're ready. It's just going to happen. It's just stuff's going on. Because now you have to actually...
Well, unfortunately for me, to answer the question, unfortunately for me, there really hasn't been any dealing with it this week because I've had no power, I've had no internet. I could barely access Twitter last night. And so...
fate worse than death.
For a variety of reasons... Right. And for a variety of reasons, I toughed it out here. I wanted to make sure my house was okay. And plus, I had puppy dog and all of that. So, because I never get an opportunity really to relax and do this. I read books.
I'd say what are books, but since my wife's in the book publicity industry, we have like 7,000 books in our house. So, yeah. We will never run out. She got her version of week one last weekend, the Decatur Book Festival. She's got to hang out with all our writer buddies. We had a nice weekend because we had... This is Atlanta on Labor Day weekend. Here's what happened. So there are 2 major college football games. There's a NASCAR race. There's Dragon Con, so every sci-fi geek in the world is here. And then there's the Decatur Book Festival. So you can imagine going... It was great. We went downtown, and everybody's dressed up in their Star Wars outfits. And, of course, I have no idea.
I would totally do that.
no idea about the comic book people. But then the occasional like Alabama and West Virginia fan would come stumbling by, like I have no idea what's going on. And each crowd is like, I don't know, I don't understand.
Cats and dogs living together in harmony.
Yeah,
oh, the madness!
Oh, but it was fun. Yeah, that's what happens. So when opening day happens on Sunday, where will you be? Will you be at your station, ready to go? You got your 3 computers and 4 TVs all lined up.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of funny that you say that because the reason why I'm upstairs tonight instead of where I have been is because I'm going to take my laptop and watch the game and try to get some work done. So yes, I shall be reporting for duty, Sharona reporting for duty, and I'll have my iPad here. I'll probably have my laptop in front of me, my cell phones, my trusty little puppy dog, and my Titans blankie.
Yeah, dog's like, I'll be sleeping if you need me. Thanks. I'm not missing a thing.
She's asleep. She's just happy to have air. She's like, oh, this is so great.
Okay, so we're going to do some kind of pregame gathering. Or you have your tickets all set for the home opener next weekend?
Yes, tentatively have my tickets set for the home opener. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to get Gunnels involved, see if he's around.
Huh?
I said get
Are you tailgating? Are you tailgating for the home opener?
Well, I've a couple of times last year. I mean, I met with Gunnels, Josh Gunnels of MCM. Although don't even know if he's writing for them right now. He does like construction stuff, and apparently he's like building his own house, which I guess would take a lot of your time. But yeah, I think he has some kind of timeshare deal with a couple other people. So hopefully, because he had one of those really small grills, and he was doing like 2 burgers at a time, and there were like 20 people around him, starving to death. It was great. But yeah,
Well, I'm not doing the pregame show this year, so it'll be a little bit easier for me to do tailgates and stuff.
I mean, I can finally meet with that Ricky guy who you're always bantering with on the internets.
The Rickster, the tricky Ricky.
Yeah, I missed out. I know a couple times we were close, but yeah, we haven't actually met. Actually, I mean, when it comes down to it, there are a few people on Twitter you don't define them by where they're from, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, this guy's in Atlanta where I am, or this person's in Nashville. I can meet them. So yeah, hopefully we'll do that. I'm probably gonna just go ahead and call
What
it in.
jersey are you planning on wearing? What
Probably
jersey are you
not
going to
any
wear?
because it's going to be damn warm. So I don't know. Should I wear my Pac-Man or my Chris Johnson?
You should wear the Pac-Man.
I'm definitely wearing the Chris Johnson for the Jets game. That's going to be good. Well, we'll see. I always have high hopes. Like first half of the year, I'm like, I'm going to every game. And then the second half, I'm like, oh, they're just making me so sad. It's hard to get at.
That, my dear Zach, is what alcohol is for.
Yeah, like the time we met before was it the Texans game, and I had
the one that we were
two big beers, and you're like, wow, okay, I'm gonna stay.
I think I was drinking the pink drink.
Yeah, the pink drink, exactly. Yeah, so tell me about this worst.
But it's going to be all new concessions this year.
Oh, right. All new and more expensive. Yay. I'm eating before I get in there. I'm drinking, too, hopefully. So tell me about this league. Was it the MCM league you got in where you got kind of shut out and were unable to draft, and therefore you are horrible because you auto-drafted?
It was kind of my fault because it was the long weekend. Excuse me. I think that I had told you that I needed to find out what was going on with that league, and I just had not done it, right? And so it's not there. I mean, it's totally my fault because it was the long weekend. I knew I was doing this 2-hour show Saturday night, and I was dealing with that and because I wanted to get at least some rest and relaxation, I wasn't logging in and checking email and stuff. I was just once I got all the details done for this show, I was mostly just touching base with them and making sure the show was still a go and all of that. So if I had checked my email, I would have known, but I didn't. I don't. I think the email announcing it like came in maybe Saturday, and the draft was Sunday, Sunday evening, something like that. And so, but you know what? once I made a few little tweaks to it and really looked at it, it wasn't terrible. The the IDP rankings were pretty whack, but I fixed all that as best
I
as.
like that.
Yeah, it's an ID. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a defensive player that can be any defensive player, a defensive back, a linebacker, defensive line.
Okay.
There's like 4 or 5 IDP spots.
Yeah, it's tough
And
balance.
this is my Crush Boy Toy League.
Oh, so you got Pollard? Or is that just your
I
team
did not
name?
get Pollard.
You didn't?
No, this was
Oh, wait.
my team name.
So it was like all MCM people, right? Titans MCM, Titans blog that.
It's all Titans people.
Don't return my calls, but it's okay.
Aw.
It's okay. They do. I think they do their show like exact same time we usually do. So I don't know.
It's around the same time.
Like, how many Titans podcasts are they really around? Like 7. So I mean, we're clearly the best because we cover so much.
We do.
So much ground. Yeah. So because I am, an official writer for a fantasy site, I felt like in order for me to properly cover all the bases and do an actual article about auctions, that I would have to actually get into an auction league. So I decided to do an auction league like Monday night. And in order to prepare for that league, I did a mock auction through Yahoo on like Sunday morning, Saturday morning. And it was a $200 cap. And by the end of the draft, I had $57 left. I basically just didn't spend any money, and then eventually there was nobody left to spend money on. So I totally swung and whiffed, but I figured, hey, this is a great opportunity to write an article about what not to do in an auction. But it's such a different game than a draft. I mean, you have to pay attention all the time. You cannot mess around and like go take a bathroom break. If you have a pick on the end in a draft, you have certain players you're just not going to get. So it is kind of crazy because it is the high dollar guys first. And so, yeah, it was definitely a different world doing a real draft. Like, I basically was begging for people on Twitter, and, Sharona said, no thanks. I only auto draft. I don't actually draft.
I hate auto drafts. I don't usually do. Look, listen, when I got into fantasy football, it was an in-person draft. You had to be there. And none of this electronic bullshit. The guy did it all by Excel spreadsheets.
Yikes. Now, I've actually seen drafts where they have the board, but instead of having the stickers, people wrote the players' names. And, I discovered today there are only 2 times anymore where I actually handwrite anything. One is where I have to sign my name for anything legal, and the other one's for a birthday card. It was a birthday card, and I swear they would have been like, man, someone's 5-year-old wrote Zach's happy birthday message, because my handwriting is so horrible. I remember one year for our live draft, I had a big spreadsheet with everybody's roster, and I wrote all of the players' names on there. And as the draft went on, my handwriting deteriorated because, shockingly, I was drinking. So yeah, handwriting is for losers. Anyway, that's what I say. Thank you. That's my political commentary for the day.
Yes.
So are you on the Butch Jones train now that Tennessee had a nice week? The Tennessee Vols They're a football school out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
I was always on the Butch Jones train. I thought it was a good hire, and I think that he's doing so far. I give him very high marks. He's definitely bringing in recruits, bringing in the talent, what appears to be the talent that they need, and I thought that in a lot of ways they looked very impressive. I want to see how they look against Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think initially the Arkansas State game was like, uh-oh, Arkansas State's a pretty good, they're the jumping point for, I think, like 4 or 5 years in a row they've had a coach leave for a better job. But, yeah, I think Tennessee's going to handle them without a problem. Sorry, beer.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a cupcake game by any means. I mean, it's going to be a tough game, and they need to bring, their best shot. But I do want to see them. I do feel like Oklahoma is going to be the test, the first real opportunity to see what we have.
Hey, now, Missouri last week played a FCS playoff squad, and they were only up by 3 in the third quarter. And this week, for some reason, Missouri is traveling to Toledo. When I first heard of the Titans home opener at Kansas City, I was like, oh, clearly Missouri's playing some cupcake team, so I can go do a double weekend. I can go see Missouri on Saturday and the Titans on Sunday, and then Missouri's going to Toledo. And that's where the Gary Pinkel used to coach. Gary Pinkel, the all-time coaching wins leader at Toledo and Missouri. So there you go. In your face, Butch Jones.
In your face. What?
I had nothing to do with anything. How many schools does Butch Jones lead in victories? Huh? Who wears a cool visor like Pinkel? Nobody. I still don't get why balding guys wear visors.
Steve Spurrier.
Yeah. Exactly. I was kind of hoping the entire SEC East was going to implode after South Carolina got just demolished by Texas A&M, but sadly,
it really did.
Sadly, Georgia looked really good, and Tennessee looked much better than expected, I'd say.
Georgia looked good. They're going to be. They might be better than I think they are.
Because that's been, when you think about like deep fantasy leagues for a while, it was like any guy who came from Tennessee or any guy who came from Georgia. There were guys who got like kicked out of Georgia after like a year, and they'd play in the NFL for 5 years. And guys that, Arian Foster kind of stumbled around his senior year at Tennessee, and then he did really well in the NFL. So those guys just always have a stable of running backs. It must be in a certain talent that's pretty easy, because even Missouri, they had a couple guys who were just crushing it against South Dakota State, by the way. And their starting quarterback got hurt like in the first half. Yet they kept it fairly close. It was not the prettiest game, I have to say. But luckily, one of the games in which Missouri looked mediocre last year was against Toledo. They had to get like an interception return to put it away. So, take it easy. Let's consider the out-of-conference games preseason, and then we'll get to the regular season. When they travel to South Carolina, then we're going to be talking some real football.
What are your projections for Mississippi football this year?
Probably like 8-4. I don't know. Gary Pinkel is such a 500 in conference kind of guy, and his overall conference record is still like 9-8. So it's not after 2 years. The SEC is tough. The SEC East last year was kind of down, and this year they're getting better. I don't care if South Carolina got run off the highway. They're still good, and Georgia's good, and Tennessee's got a lot of talent, don't they? They always have 5-star recruits every year. They just sometimes get kicked out of the school, but other than that.
Well, I think the talent level is improving.
Exactly. You still won that national title with Peyton. T. Martin. But anyway, it's a title. He's like, when I meet you, I'm going to come after you with fists. You're not impressed, huh?
No, I don't know if it's your internet or mine, but you're lagging a little
Oh,
bit on me, so I'm trying to. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. It's
Can
slowing
I
down
be?
toward the end. There's been a lot of, I feel like I'm in mid-season form. I've been posting a ton of articles. I revamped my Know Your Enemy in Hangout form. I did a podcast.
I
What,
saw that you're doing that
Tuesday
after
night?
this show, aren't you?
I did it last night. Yeah. So yeah, what it's just like
Oh,
the
okay.
Ask Your Fantasy Football Expert. I was just sending
It's still on my
questions.
calendar. That's why I asked. It was.
Ah, it's just yeah, I like to talk with someone who's a fan of the team the Titans are playing, and see what they think. I believe in Ryan Forbes' case with the Chiefs. He thinks that he'll be drinking a lot this fall. So there's not a ton of confidence, but Andy Reid's all right. I don't know. Do you feel caught up with the world yet because of your recovery from being away from technology?
Almost, yeah. I feel reasonably caught up. I'm a little behind on writing. I probably won't get entirely caught up there, but there is one thing that I want to get done tonight. So we'll see how successful I am at that.
You gonna multitask?
I'm going to multitask.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like anytime I do a podcast or another show, you get on my case. But you were like doing a show last Friday. You were doing a show last Saturday, and you said it was 2 hour long show. That was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that Saturday
Well,
show?
I typically do a Friday night show, which I'm gonna have to scrap that this week. It's already Thursday, and with this power situation, it's not gonna happen. I was asked to guest host the Saturday night show, which is a show on Blog Talk Radio from what used to be TSRN, still is TSRN on Blog Talk. The Mad Scientist of Sports Lab. I was Dr. Sharona, and we talked all kinds of good stuff. You would not, you would have only been there for the last segment, which was NFL, but we talked NBA, we talked fantasy football, we talked NFL, and we talked Major League Baseball.
See, that just blows my mind. This whole multi-sport thing, it's just crazy. I mean, I think I've already made a decision. I'm like, I can play daily fantasy for the NFL, or I can have my sanity. I think I might go with the sanity side. So just thinking about, I mean, you're talking about NBA guys getting married, and I don't even know what's happening. They do play basketball, right? I know it's the off season because the NBA has
It's the
about
off
a 4 week
season.
off season, right?
Yeah, sort of. Because they had summer leagues, and FIBA is going on. They're doing the World Cup.
Right. We beat Turkey, right? In your face, Turkey. That's all I have.
Good job, Zach. I'm
Well, you
proud of
got
you for
Turkey.
that.
That's right.
Proud of
You
you
have
for
nobody
that.
in your entire country who's taller than 6'6". We beat you down. Yeah.
So, how many fantasy football leagues did you end up with this year?
I believe 4, although I did a few best ball leagues. So there's my keeper league, which I had to be carted off the field at the end. That was great. There's my dynasty league, and I'm playing this British guy who's going to just demolish me. I might have to start like Locker, Hunter, and Wright. So there you go. And,
Who's your quarterback?
which one? My keeper league?
Yeah, you said you might have to. Is he your only quarterback?
Well, my dynasty league, I kind of got lucky with Cam Newton. I got him like in the second round because everybody was worried about him his
Cam.
rookie
Yeah, I
year.
saw that. Okay.
And because of his situation, I'm like, well, you got to think of a weekly thing. Like when Lecker plays, he actually puts up some good points. He was, that Jets game last year. He was my bye week quarterback. He had 3 touchdowns and a half. So I may end up playing him even if Cam Newton starts, just because. Well, Cam Newton's injured. I don't know. Are they going to really use him that much in the goal line? Is he going to run that much?
Well, let's hope I'm not jinxing Jake Locker, but he's never been injured in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
So it's
But
been the
wait,
second game.
no.
The second
The
game, the
Patriots,
fourth.
right?
That was the
Wasn't?
second game.
Oh, okay.
The first game that
The
year was the
Patriots' the home
Chargers.
opener was just cruel because they just pounded them. Oh boy, that was rough.
Yeah, it was the second game though. They went to San Diego on the first game.
It was rough in two ways because the Titans got crushed, and I had Brandon Lloyd who basically was wide open and like fell down one pass. It was just horrible. Why did I give in to the Brandon Lloyd hype? And yes, he still is a thing. He still is on an NFL roster, which is amazing.
So Ryan Mallett down in Houston, what do you make of that, Zach?
The Texans don't have any idea what the bleep they're doing at quarterback. I mean, seriously. I saw that Ryan, what's his name, Fitzpatrick had like a 60 rating and like 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I'm like, did you watch the film? Did you see when he played for the Titans? If you're a fantasy player, Fitzpatrick puts up decent numbers, but if you're an NFL team, he does 1 or 2 things, just destroys your team every week. If you think Jake Locker's inconsistent, hello. Yeah, I mean, they drafted Savage in the 4th round, so you thought, oh, he's their quarterback of the future, and now Mallett's their number 2 guy. I feel, them and the Patriots must have overestimated him because they were doing that, like a fantasy league where 2 guys do that dance for like months, and you're talking about a trade, and then you finally do it, and you're just like, that sucked. I think that's what happened. So I don't know if he's the quarterback of the future because he's in a minor version of the Locker situation. Like, he's in the last year of his deal, so if he is good this year, they're going to have to pay him a ton of money, or at least a Kyle Orton amount of money. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what about that? I mean, it's just the quarterback carousel in the league the past couple of weeks has been crazy.
Well, I think that's the one thing the Chiefs fans can point to with Alex Smith. Not that they're excited about him, but it's like, do you see when you don't have anything at quarterback, like the Bills, what kind of crazy stuff? Kyle Orton's like the smartest guy in America. I mean, he got cut by the Cowboys before he had to pay back a $3 million bonus, and he's getting paid $5 million by the Bills. I mean, say what you want about Neckbeard, he's got the cash money. Yeah, I think the Bills are like a dead coach walking, kind of like the Titans last year. Not that you would admit that, but Doug Marrone will be.
Did you know that Tony Reale is leaving PTI?
Tony who? I've seen the show maybe once. Is that the old dude?
Okay. Anyway.
Someone asked me if I watched ESPN, and I'm like, if there's a game on, I'm watching ESPN. Do I watch Sports Center or any of their shows where people talk about sports? No, not really. I can talk about sports. See? Oh, and there's one thing. So
why is that?
I just don't care that much. I don't know. Sports Center used to be something that you'd kind of wanted to watch or looking forward to. I mean, highlights. You got to see other sports, which you do, which I admire and fear you because you can get in other sports, but I just don't so much. And I hear people talking about sports all day on Twitter, so do I need to go to ESPN? So that's just me.
I was just curious.
Started with White Check do the.
All right, so yeah, so fantasy football week 1. Who are your start sit options?
I was kind of pissed off because I have Michael Crabtree in a dynasty, and I had to basically bench him all of last year, and then I heard he had some kind of random calf injury, and I'm like, no, not against the Dallas defense, please, but it sounds like he's okay. And like I mentioned before, I might be starting Locker over Cam Newton, possibly to my detriment, but hey, Titans all the way, right? So.
Right.
I mean, in my local keeper league, I'm trying to decide between Bernard Pierce and Mike Wallace as my flex. Mike Wallace going against Revis doesn't look good, and nobody seems too confident that even though Ray Rice is suspended, that Bernard Pierce is going to be the main guy and that he'll be able to do anything. So yeah, it's like, yeah, two pretty uninspiring options. Don't you agree? You're like, yes, boy, you should be
I
better at this.
do agree. No, it's tough though because it's really first game. You've got your old faithfuls, and you've got a bunch of I'm not sure about this, but I'm gonna take
Yeah,
a
a lot.
shot.
Yeah, a lot of that. And you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I was the last guy to take a quarterback in my keeper league. I got Tony Romo. I'm fine with. I got the Romo and Bryant stack. I got the triple stack. I got the kicker for the Cowboys too. So I'm on Cowboys all the way apparently. And that's where
Yeah,
Michael
I've got
Sam
some
signed. Oh
Cowboys.
yeah. Whoop, whoop.
I've got DeMarco Murray in a league. I've got Tony Romo as my quarterback. And I tweeted out my Sunday night draft. I'm going to tweet out my MCM draft. I spent some time getting my team order, and I meant to do that earlier, but I got sidetracked with trying to get power and
Drink,
do other things.
drink.
Then drink. I just had the one.
I know you gotta. When you're in day drinking, you have to. You have to really commit to it. It's very important.
I had the one. It was nice. It actually didn't have as much liquid in it as what it looked, but that was fine. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was very good.
You gotta get that relaxation. It's very important. I don't know. I did the auction on
Yeah.
Monday, and I got a bunch of. Well, I tried to set up a league which allowed a lot of different options. So it was no kicker, no defense because, come on, it's just not right. So I created a lot of flex positions so you could have two quarterbacks, and quarterbacks went insane. So I ended up with Ben Roethlisberger, Geno Smith, and Derek Carr as my quarterbacks. So we'll see how that goes. Although
Wow.
Geno Smith against the Raiders seems pretty good, and I went really running back heavy. Yeah, I got
I'm anxious
lazy.
to see the Raiders defense this year. I really am.
You're the one. Well, they have those older guys. I mean, I have Justin Tuck in one league, and I'm hoping he's got one more year in him. Yeah, they're a weird team in that they had to pick up guys. They had to spend salary cap money, so they got some older guys, and they may have overpaid for them. But it's like, hey, we got to get up to being a competitive team. Isn't that right?
Yep.
So do you believe in our guy Kendall Wright being more of a touchdown guy this year? I mean, he has 2 last year.
I think that he will score. He will definitely score more than 2 touchdowns this year.
Strong. And Justin Hunter, what do you think? Is he the guy?
He's looking like the guy.
Tennessee, bring it on.
But do not count out who I have in 2 fantasy football leagues.
Yeah,
Maybe 3.
He's almost disappeared
3.
from like fantasy consciousness. Like for a while, people were saying, "Oh, he's a good second tight end to get," and then everybody noticed that a lot of his numbers came with Fitzpatrick. So we'll see. I think he's still a good two-way tight end, and he'll catch some
I
balls.
don't know what does that have to do about anything.
What's that?
Like Jake Locker's not going to throw to the tight end? I mean,
Nope, not at all.
to me that makes no sense.
Well, it was bizarre how few catches the other tight ends had. I mean, I think they just fed Taylor Thompson the ball in the preseason just to make sure he's still like a viable NFL player. I don't know if he's gonna. It's hard to see him moving into that number 2 slot. Maybe he will, but I still think Delaney's the guy. And, a season that Frank Wycheck would have thought was awesome is probably the floor. So at least a 60 catch year for Delaney, and maybe 70. That's pretty good for a tight end.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna talk down about your Delaney. You already told me you threw me in college. You said, hey, he didn't drop the ball as much. Just because every time you watch him he drops it doesn't mean he drops it every time. You need to watch
Okay,
more.
well,
You need to
look,
pay attention,
you
Mr.
just
Law.
remember the drops. You don't remember the touchdowns and all that, just the drops.
That's true. We remember the
I
extreme.
remember it all.
Do you? That's good.
I
That means I
I
don't have
remember it
to.
all.
It's beautiful. I don't want to remember nothing.
So you don't have to.
Thank you. I see. I appreciate that. So yeah, we best be gathering at least at some point next weekend. So pre-game, during
We
game.
definitely have to do that. I'll tailgate.
Okay. Well, we'll
Let me
see
know.
who can step
Okay.
it up. So
All right.
before I don't even know if we've been on an hour yet, but we're close,
We have
right?
been.
Oh, time flies when we're having fun. So Sharona, what are
It
you
really
up
does.
to? I know for someone who's been like off the grid, living in the Walking Dead world, what's happening? What's coming up?
Well, tomorrow on Game Over with Vashti and Sharona, we're going to talk some fantasy football with Ali Fontana, and I'm very excited about that, and do our thing, and it's Freaky Friday, so you do not know what will come out of my mouth, so tune into that, 7:30 Yahoo Sports at 10 o'clock a.m., and other than that, I'll be hopefully getting a couple of articles out, and then the game on Sunday.
Sunday real football, yeah. Well,
Speaking
man,
of real football, getting
there is.
ready to come
Oh
on.
yeah, the 27-hour pregame show is almost over. Good to know. Well, find me on fantasysports.org. I covered my slightly traumatic auction experience. I posted an article about Jonathan Bales' latest book. He's writing about daily fantasy. And by the way, his co-author just won $1 million doing fantasy baseball. So yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about.
Ooh.
And so we did an article about IDP. And today I wrote an article about 10 reasons why you shouldn't be scared to set your week 1 lineups. And I'll be posting all of my exciting media talk this week. Been in a few shows. It's been good. I haven't gotten much sleep because apparently everybody can't do a podcast earlier than 10:30 at night. I'm old, people. I'm old. But Sunday, full slate of football. It's going to be fun. All these leagues, I'm like, oh crap, I have to actually set lineups. It's not fun. But find Sharona on Sports by Sharona on the Twitters, and find me on Zach_Law on Twitter. Have fun, everybody, and go football. We're going to have a good time. Seattle won the Super Bowl.
Good night.
Adios, muchachos. Glass is half empty.